Alright, hello. Guess I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit more for you guys. Please let me know if the balance is good, or if the music is too low. It never feels right, but I do what I can. Also gotta talk with a lower voice. You might hear my wife talk in the sidelines as well, which is a thing we are gonna deal with for now. Alright. I see Adam. Hello Adam. Welcome Dave, the GM. Welcome Yuria. Now, I think this stream is gonna be pretty simple. There's not much gonna happen in this one. It's just some Mindscape practice. So I'm gonna attempt to set this up. Just making sure I have visuals on everything, my OBS studio, my Discord set up on the other screen. So let's see. I have the chat open so I can see new messages. Welcome Bleak Nick. My third eye's prepared for the Mindscape. Yes. Yes, I hope so. Now, I do hope this is gonna be a successful stream, but you know, we work with what we got. Guess I don't need to see the statistics, but I want to be able to see if like something crashes. Alright. Got the YouTube open on the second screen. Now, I'm changing... am I ready to change OBS? Not yet, not yet. OBS is not ready. So... it's a browser window. I have to select the right one. Okay, it's selected now. Will it play the music? No, I don't have the music. Let's throw in the music. You guys tell me if anything breaks, alright? I trust you. I trust you guys. Because I have no visual on my stream anymore. Alright. Got OBS, got the cam. I can put my cam in the corner. I think it's big enough. There we go. Now it shows the mic, it does the music. That's what I'm gonna do. All you see are blondes, brunettes, redheads. Yes. You know, actually, let's go back to the other one. There we go. Let's talk about Mindscaping, right? It's a simple word. I've heard it the first time from Sean Driscoll, Seaner, who has, well, if anybody's like completely new, sadly passed away last year. And he helped me understand role-playing and we had many fun discussions about movies. And he released a book, right? The book is called How to Roleplay the Hard Way. Now, if you guys are interested in role-playing, if you guys are interested in 4D roleplay as my group does it right now, the small community of people that is gathering some momentum right now, then I want you to read How to Roleplay the Hard Way, right? You can find it on Drive-Thru RPG, and that's what I recommend you do. So you hop over here, right? There we go. Just making sure it shows up. How to Roleplay the Hard Way on Drive-Thru by Shauna Press. And you can buy it for free. It doesn't cost anything. All you have to do is read the book. It's a small book. It has big fonts, big letters, and it's not that complicated. It was a great cement block, so to say, a great cornerstone to help me define what he means with role-playing the hard way. And hard itself means honest and reactive dialogue. The honest part is, when I describe something, you can trust me, the description, what I say is true. This is true about the world. I don't try to hide anything. I don't try to say like, kinda, sorta, it looks vaguely like. And it's honest and it's reactive. You act as a role player, and I react to your descriptions. So it's a back and forth. What you say, you know, you throw the ball, I catch the ball. I react, I catch the ball, I dribble, I do a little 360, I shoot the ball back over to you. You take the ball, you do a jump, you throw for the hoop, you have a miss, but I catch the ball on the rebound, you know? Is that how it works? I don't know. I don't do sports, guys. I'm fat. Okay? Dave the GM. It's kind of sad that John didn't get to release his other planned books. Yes. Term is short. We don't have infinity. So, for Mindscape, we're gonna use a tool called ArtStation. And with this tool, we're gonna look at pictures, and all we do, right? Our goal is to describe the picture with words. Now, why would we do that? Why would you want to describe a picture with words? Let's see if we can find something relatively simple to get the imagination jogging. We describe the picture with words because that's what you do as a role player at a table. It's what you do as a game master. I would call this, it leads into, if you watched previous streams, it leads into the performance aspect of being a good game master. You're performing, you're putting on a show most of the times. And I made the proclamation a few streams ago. It's not about performing, it's about role-playing. That's the play part. You don't have to carry all of the weight on your shoulders. You can share the burden equally with everyone on the table, which means the more skilled your players are, the easier the burden gets shared, right? You know, you share the burden, but I'm a 150 kilo fat guy. I can carry a lot of weight simply because that's how I exist. Now, if I have a 60 kilo player at my table, a 5 foot tiny little woman, Latino, obviously, if she's gonna carry something, she's gonna collapse, you know. I carry 60 kilo just for fun. That's her entire body weight. I could eat like a Brazilian woman for breakfast. I don't know where this humor is coming from, but I'm just gonna speak what comes to my mind since it's a stream voice. Okay, I'm looking at chat. Yure, yes. I wonder if there's a way we could write one as a community. You can write a book, you just have to write it and put it out there. Publishing a book is a different story. But hey, if you don't really ask for money, publishing anything is super easy. Couldn't we all? Like, I write whole books in Discord, right? That's a basic talent of mine. Now we're looking at this picture. And, right, before we go into this, I want you chat to tell me why. Why do you Mindscape? Why practice describing what we see? Does anybody in chat listen to my words and can tell me why we should do this? I'm waiting. Got some time on my hands. I'll give you a second to think about it. Mindscaping. Why is Mindscaping important? Why not just, you know, show up at the table? Alright, time is up. It's important because that's what you're doing, like 80% on a role-playing table. Now what ends up happening, we practice a lot of talking and negotiating roles with other players, you know. I should be able to jump over the table because there's a jumping skill, and I have my jump skill improved to a +4. Therefore, ergo ipso facto, I don't know, lawyer speech, I can do this. And then the game master has learned I can make a ruling instead of following the rules. So I will say, yes, go ahead, just skip that damn rules and jump over the table because it makes sense for your character, it makes sense in the scene. We let logic preside, we let like common sense come first and let the rules be second fiddle to the common sense guitarist, you know. Now, the Mindscaping part, it's not roleplay, but it's very close. Role-playing is saying where you are, what you do, and what you say. It's slip into the role of the character, try to think like the character, and act like the character you're portraying. You slip into the role and play it out. That's a simple way to phrase it. I'm not playing the role of a fighter, I'm playing the role of Fiamond. I'm a hussar. Got my white horse, got a chainmail, basket helmet. I believe it's a basket helmet. And I'm scouting out the lowlands. See if they're on my journeys to the village over yonder. You have to describe the scenes. If you don't describe the scenes, what you imagine is vague. It's nebulous, you know? But not just that, like every player at your table will have a different imagination. Now, I've seen Space Rody post on the Discord. He did post like a screenshot of I think of a role-playing game that describes to keep scenes as vague as possible. It's actually really like he basically recommended keep it as vague as possible because you want the players to imagine whatever they want and to not get in the way of the imagination. Now, I'm at two minds about this, so I'm gonna agree with the portion of yes, you want to keep your turns short as a game master. Because the players should also have a turn, and because you have a whole world to depict while they only have one character to play, it can be very easy to fall into the roles of I'm a game master, so I will talk 80% at the table, and the players have to split up 5% each, you know? They have to share their 20% amongst each other. That's a common trap. What I disagree is with keeping Mindscaping vague and nebulous and as basic as possible. That's what I call boring. Why? Because the better you master your language, right? The more words you can draw upon to describe something, the more effective the description will be. You want to describe a dartboard. You describe a dartboard. You want to describe the bar with a sports toy inside. Okay, that's vague. Which sport? What kind of... I guess it's to play. Now, it might be a billiard, it might be a chess table, it might be a dartboard. It might just be a drinking game, you know? It might be red cups on a table lined up with a ping pong ball. Alright, let's go back over to some comments. Dave, when I was a teenager, my cousin and I ran a race, fireman carrying his younger siblings. Dang, my slow typing. The conversation moved on again. Yes, you gotta keep up, Dave. Better with bacon, welcome, hello. Nice to have you here. This is a super cool stream idea, quite like it. Maybe I'll fall asleep to these dulcet tones. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. I like it. Lignick, that game sounds like it's void of players' contribution. Okay. Yeah, if the player has like 5% to talk, and the GM tries to describe everything, then yes, you pretty much take up too much space. That is a common problem. The GM takes up too much space, and the players will get comfortable becoming a passive player. Like, I'm just gonna enter the scene, and the game master is gonna describe everything. But no, the player also has to learn to describe things. So I'm gonna do this thing right now. Let's see. Gonna hop over here, then I'm gonna hop back to a different image. And we're gonna look at the image. And we use images to help us describe cool scenes. And since artists exist and they draw amazing pictures, we can just use them to help our imagination. So when I hop back, I want you guys to imagine how you guys would describe it. You can type it out. And I will also do the same. And I will try to do this without looking at the image for too long. Like, I will take like 5 seconds. But we are also simulating sitting at a table describing the scenes to players. The players that are there. So if there's a character in the picture, we describe the picture like the character in the picture would see it. Let's hop back. A large cathedral-like building. Massive arches that are bigger than 3-story tall buildings. Just as a way to move from one room to the next. A massive window letting in the sunlight into the moody interior. Illuminating a sarcophagus. A beautifully carved limestone grave with a statue chiseled in of a man lying in peace. Small angels chiseled into the side, decorating the place. The building looks ancient enough that trees have grown in up to 15 meters tall. An open space. Now, have I done a good job? I don't know. I'm trying to keep it short. I'm trying to give players room to imagine. Now, how do we categorize if I did a good job? Now, I want you guys to write out your description, and then we talk about it. So I'm gonna read some of yours as well. We got the player here. I kneel before the tomb of Pan, greater in size than any man. The sun smiles upon me, its warmth welcoming my prayers to this lust-forced god. I love this. It's beautiful. Very good. I believe in my description, we had a sense of scale, but it was hard for me to describe the sense of scale, like on the spot. So I would take this into consideration. Now in drawings, it's much easier to do that. As a player, I might say something like the insides of the cathedral stretch out like a football field. But you know, if you say football field, it's in contrast, it sets against the fantasy theme. So I cannot use football field as a measure of a unit of measurement. Dave the GM. The interior of the Forgotten Temple is overgrown and cracked. A window illuminates the altar in the central sanctuary. I like this. In 5 seconds, my mind didn't register much. Yes, but I would say, Dave, this is a fantastic description to get to the point, get the point across of what the players can imagine. They imagine this beautiful cathedral, or they might be a bit more vague of what's going through their minds, you know? I like this other image further down that's a bit more cropped in, with the focus on the statue, on the altar. Alright. Now we will hop on to the next scene. And this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do some practice. Snow covering the surface in the flatlands. Approaching a rusty structure that looks to have been part of a building long ago, torn into like a compartment that is no longer attached. Flat flooring laying on the ground with a tram-sized, that almost looks like a tram sitting on top of rails as an entryway. A cover for the cold and the winds. Now I feel like I botched this one completely. I really struggle describing the shape. And I don't think the shape is too important, except if you have a fight, if you want the players to like move around in this space. So yes, no, the shape is important if you want the players to move around in this place. And if I would say if you have something hidden there, or you know they're supposed to meet somebody, then you want to be able to paint a clearer picture. Now this one I really struggle with, so I'm gonna look forward to what you guys will say. So what could it be? Like a place, a shelter, and is it, what would I say, an oblique structure is a word that comes to my mind. Maybe you guys come up with something better. Now, it's Mindscaping practice because we don't want to be perfect. At the role-playing table, you will not have time to think up of every scene. The players move to the infirmary. Now you have to imagine what does the infirmary look like, and you have to come with that up. Sorry for the sneeze. You have to come up with that on the spot. Leakneck says, more than sufficient for me to interact with 80% of that picture. Were I your player, Dave the GM? Yes, good comment, Blake. I agree. Alright, there we go. Some roleplay happening in chat. Sarah doesn't look spooked coming out of that rust bucket. So, are you going in or am I, Tony? If you're too chicken shit, give me your headlamp and go up top. My bad, see, I forgot the assignment and went with dialogue. I like that. Hey, that's a good way of role-playing. So you're coming up with cool dialogue. Like, but the dialogue is way more difficult if you only have the descriptions of the GM. But let's focus on describing it. Now, I will go to the next. I cannot just click back. How do I... Let's see. Ah, this structure is fucked up. The insides of the visit tower stretching out in increasing size. In the center, you can see lines formed from the walls, like running like cables, forming structure. In the center of this open circle-shaped cylindric tower, they form 3 extra platforms, raising up each by each, until at the very top, a man stands amongst statues in front of what looks to be an altar to the gods, chanting and deciphering the secrets of the universe. Now, I think this one is way too hard, so if I look at this, I'm never gonna describe this in a role-playing game. I would just show the picture, if I'm honest, which obviously I will try to do. I try to be honest as much as I can with my players, with my viewers. This is a crazy picture. How do you even describe the scene to a player without tripping over words left and right? The quad-tiered shrine to the Great Weaver races within the room. At the base level, there is no way up. Yet they're chanting coming from on high. Very good, I like it. Now, if you're typing out the scene, right, you can delete a few words, you can correct it. It makes describing scenes easier, because you can just type it out. But yes, this room is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely crazy. Now this one is a nice breakdown of what it looks like. The indoor palace residential area, channels that lead inside, gates, benches, indoor palace platform, bigger number of bands. But you go there as a player character. Good luck describing this. I'm gonna call this like a skill issue. I don't think I'm that master orator. Lol, I still tripped up on a keyboard. Yes. It's so funny. Riding through the large forest, the ancient jungle. Into view come houses, wooden tree houses built into the trees, formed on stilts, supporting each other, raising higher and higher off the ground to avoid the insects and the dampness. A good dozen houses in view stacked on top, raising up. Nobody outside in view. I said jungle, but I would, if I think about it now, I would correct it to a swamp-like jungle to help describe the dampness. Now, why this guy wears a cowboy hat is the really confusing part, because the cowboy has nothing to do with a jungle planet. It reminds me of Ewok Village. But I would not say Ewok Village. It's a shorthand, right? So shorthands are used to describe something, to put an image in players' minds that we all have collectively. But it takes out of the... I think that would be a different era. Like, we don't see any technology. We know they cook, like we can see some steam rising, but we don't see machinery here. Or... yeah. So I don't know if Ewoks would work. Also, now people are thinking about Star Wars, they're not thinking about the same. I lost the stream during the first picture. Now got back. Welcome back. Don't know if I'd stay connected much longer. Storms have started back up. No worries, Dave. Absolutely. You can stick around for as long as you like, as long as you can. You can also do this practice after the stream if you want to. If you just want to listen along. No worries. Alright. Let's go to the next one. In the metropolitan city, multi-lane streets, cars driving by slowly as people cross the streets left and right. Plaques and boards covering the walls, advertising to each other, movie theaters, bustling. As the night sky is lit up brightly by the many colors of lights. Now I struggled there describing lights, colors. I said lights several times. I think that's not too good, but it's okay. You try to get the image across. You do the best you can. The better you can, the better you are performing. But it doesn't add much to the play part. Now let's see. If I try to reimagine the scene, where are the players? It's a big metropolis. I know it's a current day, more or less. We play into the 1900s. The cars are a bit more old-timey in the shapes and sizes. But we also see some, looks like mechanized creatures at the bottom left and on the right part. I didn't even describe those. I think those are a cool detail to mention. I slow periwinkle down, seeing the shoddy construction of the forest. Natives ahead. I call out, I've got your money. One hand on the holster pistol, the other holding the reins. Yeah, that's good. The golems thud alongside the men down the sidewalks and the streets. The summer lights beaming in the city that knows no light. The adverts, visuals, and auditory keeping free thought away. Yeah, that's a good way of describing like how it's it's like sensory overload, very much. I've had this image before, so I'm not gonna do this one. I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at here. Alright. You've arrived at the ruins of an ancient spaceship's structures standing out a good 400 meters into the air of old structural beams of the spaceship broken up. Most of it covered by the sands and rocks moving atop over the flow of time. Reclaimed by nature, yet the heat stops anything from growing in the area. That might be a bit too much. I think I could do it a bit more simpler. You've arriving at the spaceship's wrecks. Structural columns standing out 200 meters into the sky. Almost most of it buried under the sands and stones. The steel blue contrasting with the rust and sand covering over most of the spaceship wreck. Now, if I knew this was a spaceship, like I had this established, I would call it out spaceship. A spaceship wreck, specifically. Because it helps imagine something. But also describing some of the structural pillars being 200 meters into the sky. That really gives dimensions to the size of this spaceship. It's not just a ship, it's a dreadnought. It might be something like a colony ship even. Well, maybe not that big, but you know, large. So if we play in a game, I'm gonna think of size classes of different ships and what they might be called and create a shorthand. And I might use Star Wars for that, like the Corvette class. Or, you know, I'd lean into like battleship namings. Like battleships. Which I don't know. So I would look that kind of detail up, maybe. If I know players deal with spaceships, with several spaceships, I might look into that to help me. As that's like a part of prep. So I have the terminology good in my sitting right in my mind, and I can help convey it with the players at the table. 2/3 of ruined starship docks still stand tall. Ting towards the sky. The fallen third lays half buried by sand, the other half jutting out a nearby cliff. I like that. It's a good description. Now, I would say, in your description, you could imagine the starship being like 100 meters big, or the starship could be like a kilometer big. Like in this picture, that's what I imagine. Because we have nothing of scale to compare to, except like the horizon. So I would keep that in mind, because the players might describe walking around the ship in, you know, a minute, and they make it a real quick thing, and then you have to impress on the players, right? Like, after a good 5 minutes, you reach the other side of the ship. Doing the thing of like describing things they do. It's difficult. Gotta practice that. Oh, another comment, let's see. Dave the GM, the super dreadnought London was once a fearsome capital ship. Now her bones barely jut from the sand where Holwag City once stood. That's a good one. I like it. That would be a good description if they had an NPC with them that could say those words. Because if otherwise you say those words to the players and not to the characters. That would be the one thing I would keep in mind. Gotta be mindful to impose at some point, if not in the initial description. Yeah. Alright, let's do some skipping. The densely overgrown forests of colorful flowers and long forgotten broken trees. A woodland creature rushing through the underbrush. The size of a man, but bulkier, with a tail grown out of vines, snarling in your direction and rushing towards. Getting closer. Now this is a beautiful image, so hey, I might just take the image and I might like Photoshop out the knight, the woman, the female warrior, and the creature, like Photoshop them out and just show the image. To imagine, oh, you're in the forest, and then I showcase the forest to describe its beauty. So I would say the most striking thing about this image is the beauty of it. So you want the players arrive at a beautiful forest. You don't want to say you arrive at a beautiful forest. You want to like do it justice, because there might be different forests around. So what's a good way to characterize the forest? A densely overgrown forest with thick trees, with trees as thick as barrels, jutting out the ground, fallen over branches, creating natural tunnels, broken off stumps, with nobody taking care of them, and man-sized webs placed at several spots over the flooring. The flora and fauna brimming with wildlife, and a dangerous woodland timber wolf Stalking. It picked up your scent. Adam, I love this idea for narration practice. Great for the GM training that I need. But I'm just listening, not watching right now. Alright. What's up, Kingmaker, and welcome to the stream. Now, Kingmaker, if you wish, if you're sticking around a bit, look at the image I pull up on screen, and I want you to describe, as a game master or as a player, how you would mindscape the scene to help to anchor your character in the scene, but also like give a higher resolution as you talk. That is the practice that we do here. Bleakneck does it in character, so I whip my cranium tail in warning towards the warrior standing tall above me on the nearby foliage. Around us, trees lay fallen, thus disturbed by the violence of our combat. The howls echo through the woods ahead. Something crashed through the underbrush. A flash of green and rot crosses the path at the edge of the light. I think the scale of this image is a bit too big, so I'm gonna look for something else. Let's go with this. What do we see here? A woman wearing a helmet with the visor up, gas mask still working, sitting carelessly on the cybered up police car, almost like she is the law in town. People driving past her on the free lane, enjoying drinks of a local bar, chatting with the female police officer. Now I struggle with this. I think it's too noisy, this image, so it has like too much detail that doesn't matter. And this image, it doesn't make too much sense for me. So I'm like looking at the image, and first I have to decipher the image on how does this image make sense. How can I describe this image to make sense? And that's basically what I'm doing. Which I don't want to do if I describe an image to my players. I want to skip the part of deciphering the image and then describing it. I just want to describe it, the thing that comes to my head. Alright, let's give a few seconds for the players, for the viewers to describe. Oh, I can also make the image big. Let's see. Alright, no comments. Oh, there we go. Got Bleakneck. The gangers ogle at the police cruiser. A woman uncaringly sitting atop of the hood. The chatter of the cruiser's radio blasts through the glass. Nelson, respond now or be sending backup. Now, I would make a judgment call if the players are close enough to pick up on the radio chatter coming through the police car. Talia sits on the cruiser, looking smug through her mask. Are you looking for me? She says with a sultry tone. I like that. Now this one is hard because I don't have much shorthands of describing Japanese stuff, so. Mossy undergrowth covering the entrance of a classic Japanese religious gate, like a Buddha gate, standing but covered in moss, the trees fallen over and growing and rotting at the same time, with steps leading up outside of the mossy forest into some sakura trees and the sunlight. I feel like I'm really stumbling over my words now. So I would describe some of it, then I wait for the players to react and create a bit more of the scene. And I will use that as a help to flesh out what I say. A peaceful grove on the edge of the forest. Mossy undergrowth carpets the forest floor. Carpet! That's a great description, I love it. At the far end, before stone steps, an ancient Japanese gate. Ancient? Carpeting the forest floors? Those are great. Mossy undergrowth, I like that. Very evocative words. Picnic. Exiting the other side of the torii, the spirit world behind, while the grass no longer speaks to you. It cheers the way it can in the land in the living, a small wind pushing its blades. I like some of this, so it's great. You framed it like the players did something, like they're walking through the gates. So you describe it exiting the other side of the torii, the spirit world behind. While the grass no longer speaks to you, it cheers the way it can in the land of the living, a small wind pushing its blades. Those are good descriptions. Now I would say it's a bit of a mouthful, because it has like too many commas, so it feels a bit unnatural to say out loud at a role-playing table. It's like you're taking one turn too many. That's what I would say. You know, it's like you're trying to daisy chain an extra turn of describing something. So that's something we will keep in mind as we describe. Visible from the spaceship windows, a planet up completely covered in ice, formerly an ocean planet. The ice itself cracked like continents. Anything living on this ball of water would be frozen solid. I was thinking of adding something extra at the end, Because I felt like I described an ice planet, alright? But it's the question is, well, is there life on the ice planet? Well, maybe, maybe not. But it looks so fucking cold that it looks like ice should be impossible. Life should be impossible. Also, oh, this looks more like it's a substance design thing too. So it's not a planet, but I imagined it being a planet in the end. So that's a cool thing. I think I'm gonna move forward. If you guys come up with a description, that's cool. Gotta hit the bed. Good night, Dave. Sleep well. She leads you into the bedroom. It's a mess. This ceiling bedroom, large king-sized bed, disheveled, unmade, sitting, covering up not much of the room, as it's cluttered with tables, sticky notes. Her creative side showcased on the table with synthetic keyboards and some notes for music that was being written. Clothing all over the floor. Cup of coffee pushed over. And having splattered some of the papers several days ago. Yeah, I didn't expect anybody to visit. She looks to the side, blushing a bit. A sphere, cracked and frozen, floats before you, suspended in time. Yeah, that's good. As a player, I would say, bitch, you live like this? Because I'm imagining the Goofy meme, you know? Now you sit at the table and imagine the Game Master says, okay, she lets you into the room. Imagine the room of the Goofy meme. Of the love interest of Max, Goofy and Max, the movie. Imagine her room, you know, the meme. Bitch, you live like this? That's the room. Imagine that room. Now, if you do that at a table, what you're gonna do is, well, it's funny, people have a few laughs, but they're no longer trying to imagine the scene through the eyes of the character. They are making jokes with you at the table, like talking about what a mess this is, and then they will ask questions about the mess before they start role-playing again. Because I feel like it's such a natural thing to do. Like, I would do it. If I'm not trying to uphold a level of roleplay, I would do that myself. Fuck it, I'll do it myself. What a mess. Giving a couple of seconds for people to come in and say their piece about the description. Beyond the baking haze, the room is no more familiar. I feel like the room is no more familiar is a bit... It might be a bit overstepping of telling the players what they think about the room. So I would take that one out and describe the room has changed. The bed below is unmade. Desks at the end of the room, flanking the entrance. It's full of coffee-stained music notes and hardware. Yeah, that's good. I like it. So I like the description overall, right? I would only try to point out, in this case, to be mindful not to put your fingers into the player character's minds of what he thinks or how he should think about it. Old habits. That's cool, but I'm not feeling this image. Well, actually, we can do it, so... Walking on the lattices at the spaceport. Mechanics checking data slates, punching in numbers. Cables wired to massive spaceship about 300 meters in length, occupying port space 4 attached to the ceiling above open space. And what do you think? The businessman turns to you inside his jumpsuit with the helmet closed, the radio signal reaching you of his internal communications. It's a beauty, isn't it? With that thing, you're gonna be able to make all the trades you want. Just make sure, like the deal said, to get 50% of your commissions. Kingmaker, before you. A don't lit bedroom. That's a weird description. The bed is unkept, and the walls are covered in posters. A desk with a record player is situated across from the foot of the bed. A dimly lit bedroom. Oh. Get auto-corrected. I love this. Actually, I'm gonna go to space environment. Sci-fi. Maybe let's describe some spaceships. Let's go with that. I like this one. It's it very much reminds me of a Japanese spaceship. Of number 22 flies past a racer ship with a single cockpit using 2 vector thrusters on the backside, zooming over the rings of the race, catching up with number 4. The orange exterior striking like an orange blur through the skies. Oh, we got another description, so I'm gonna go back just to help, so we can see the image as it's being described. Bleakneck says, at the end of the walkway, following a smoke-obscured drop, a gargantuan grey warship in the shape of a headless shark. Along its side, reading in blood red, the Megalodon. Yeah, that's cool. Megalodon. Nice. I'm sorry, people were looking at the image, so I'm gonna go back. But I think I'm gonna move on. You guys take too long. You have to be a bit faster. Hold on, what's this? Oh, this is cool. I like it. Oh, I like it. The NASA repair ship. No. Yeah. What would I describe this? How would I describe this? Hold on. So what is it? Let's classify it first, because we would know in the game, you know. So I'm reconstructing it real quick. The nimble NASA spacecraft gently thrusts closer. The man inside of this sideways spaceship, sitting in the center of the cockpit, maneuvering deftly through several crates attached on the spaceship in zero gravity, using the arm to detach the corners and dragging and attaching itself at the front to maneuver the containers onto the station. Maybe that's a bit too much. I think that would be a bit too much. Also, I added time passing into the scene. Bleakneck said truther. Okay. I don't know what that means. But this one is cool. I love this design. So how would I describe the design? A spacecraft. Not big enough to be called a ship, really. It's a horizontal design with a central cockpit. Piloting. I don't know. I really don't know how to describe that. The spaceship is just elongated, but in the wrong direction. You know, it's the spacecraft much wider than it is tall, stunted, incredibly short, but wide with thrusters on each end, making it incredibly maneuverable with weak thrust, with weak forward speed. A maneuverable arm attached to the bottom side. As it performs articulate maneuvers through the cramped space interiors of the cargo station in zero G. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. Alright, I'm slowly running out of steam, so let's see. I think I'm gonna do one more, and then we're gonna do one more for the practice, and then we see what we're gonna do. Kingmaker. The rectangular craft comes in the view of the starboard port. The craft appears to be occupied as its ports reveals passengers silhouetting, passing by rapidly. The NASA Kodak slowly thrust it forward. Ahead sight of Smiley's comet slowly makes its way closer. Ready to arm, Captain Jensen commands. Now you say ready to arm, the players are gonna be confused because they don't know it's a literal arm of the spaceship unless you clarify this beforehand so they know it's a pun. Or if the players pick it up like they are ready to arm the vessel to like blow something up, that might, it's funny, you know, it's a wordplay, but it can lead to confusion. So I would add like the captain saying ready to arm. And then I would like make it clear a literal machine arm attached to the lower side of the spaceship, blinking from red to green, extending outward. Alright. The music is gone, so the music is finished. I'm gonna switch music to a different one. We do one more. Flying alongside Virga 7, an alien design approaches, opening up its comms. The spaceship itself, looking black and gold in design, covered with some rust, with looks to be decades of exposure. A singularity thruster pushing it forward as the triangular shape pushes through space to maneuver alongside you. The communications request for docking sequence. They want to rendezvous, sir. What do we do? Well, ask them what for. Signal comes back. Routine inspection. Prepare to be boarded. The crews look at each other uneasily. Sir, can they do that? Let's follow along, see how it plays out. Now those are super cool designs, I love it. These are fantastic. Now I would just refer to the spaceship the players are in as what the spaceship is called. Virga 7. Because I assume if the players have been in the scene for a while, you described the spaceship before, and you tried your best to describe it. And, you know, spaceships are super cool to just show how the spaceship looks like. Now the players can imagine what is where inside of the spaceship itself. But this one is super cool. It's very, like, some of the there's like visual noise happening in this picture that looks weird. Where I feel like, oh, is this supposed to be like a cockpit in the back? But why is it sideways? And stuff like that. Like the scale doesn't quite make sense to me at some points. But it's because of the painterly style it's been created with. Like an oil painting. It's what it reminds me of. It's beautiful. Like it reminds me if an AI like fudges some things, and then like a thruster becomes a cockpit or something like that. But also this image is like 11 years old, so it's not AI made, but it's super cool. And with that, I think that's enough practice for today. I'm gonna give you guys a couple seconds to come up with your descriptions. Maybe everybody left, let's see. Yeah. It might be nobody, it's just that nobody's watching anymore. So I'm gonna leave it at that. We can have the picture full screen for a bit. It's beautiful. Kingmaker says, I'm here. Good to know. But we've reached... how long have we been live? OBS? Been 1.5 hours. I'm chilling, lol. Like I said, image is a bit noisy. Yeah, but it's super cool. I liked, on my end, adding the definition of the singularity drive. Also now I realize the scale of these ships is humongous because they're tiny starships like nearby. It's like one-man shuttles, so like four-man fighters. And several docking ports like on the top landing pads that you can land on. And that's cool. Alright. So I think we can call it a night. Let's switch over to the other scene, to my face. Looking at my face. There we go, guys. It's me. As we fly through space in awesome spaceships. In character. You want the players to feel awesome. You want the players to... Well, we want a lot of things, right? So, but what's the key component? If you roleplay, you say where you are, what you do, what you say. You don't speak out of character. You don't ask the GM questions. If you have questions, ask them in character, right? Try to keep the flow of the game going as much as you can. Know the rules. At least like as much as you can. Some rules are incredibly expansive and some rules are super easy. The players have to sit there, take it, roll dice when I say so. Yeah, Kingmaker. I mean, it's what happens most of the times. It's when people sit down to play a game and you did not define the game that you're playing, right? It's you say, hey, let's play football. One guy brings a hand deck and you bring a proper football that you kick with a foot into a goal like a civilized man. I like those pushover, like that pushover sport where men hug each other on the field. You define those things, right? You want to play the same sport and you say what you like about the sport. And in a lot of tables, people join to roleplay, but most other people, they join for the social encounter. Or they want to make the jokes because they feel insecure. They don't know if they're good enough. They try to compensate. Or sometimes they just don't give us, they don't care, you know? They don't care enough about the game. They want to decompress from work. They had a hard time at work. They want to relax. So they're not really up to engage with role-playing on a on an intense level, you know, because staying in character at all times, it takes up energy, it takes up brain power, because you're thinking, how would my character think about this? What do I think if I see the spaceship pull up on me, next to me, you know? How do I respond to this businessman selling me the megalodon? Those are all, it takes up brain power. It's exhausting. What? As I don't know, my wife is throwing stuff at me across the room, so I got distracted. But it's fine. I'm alive. So you lay down the parameters, so we all play the same game. And if my friend says, hey, he wants to chill, I'm like, alright, let's chill. But then I will also have to choose at some point. Do I join these tables to chill with my friend? Or do I join these tables because I wanna roleplay and stay in character? Explore this cool world that we came up with. And we have to make those choices. If you don't make those choices, the choices are made for you, right? Either you move the world or the world moves you. It's a universal truth. It's gonna happen, right? And we can take responsibility, we can take ownership. We can choose how much we care about this hobby. It's a small hobby, is it a big hobby? Do you spend like an hour each week role-playing? Do you play several games a week? Is it like once in a full moon you play, you know, once a month? That's when everybody finally can get together because life is busy. Somebody moved out of town. You try to connect again, sit down. And now when you play, because you didn't see each other in 3 weeks, you talk, how's the wife, how's the kids, how's life? What's the dog doing? You know? And you have to get that done, right? Because if it's not done, then it's gonna bleed into the roleplay session. And you want to choose what's more important. To catch up with your friend and see how he's doing and have a chat with each other, or to roleplay being cool space adventurers in a risky and dangerous galaxy. Lickneck says, sit down and get to work. This ain't escapism, we're entering the Mindscape. Yes. Exactly. This isn't fun. You have to earn your fun around here in these parts. It's funny because, I mean, people think we don't like fun. But it's because fun is such a simple word to describe. It's more like pleasure. I derive pleasure out of moving through these amazing scenes. Now, if they're amazing or not, I'm also trying to keep a critical eye, which means I look at the scene and I try to find everything that's wrong with it after I've described it. And I'm like, whoa, this took too long. I didn't do a good job. I'm rating myself like a performer would because you're performing. And that's how you get into a bad habit of being too critical, of being too intense. And you don't want to be that. You don't have to be that. You don't have to be too intense, too critical. But every player has to decide to himself of, are you being too laissez-faire, you know, just enjoying the ride? Or are you almost punishing yourself and like the burning eye of Sauron, staring down at your own performance until you melt into a puddle of a weeping mess? Highlight the errors, make notes, strive to improve. Yes. And it's a very human part. I don't want to remove the humanity of the table. Not a machine. I'm here to play a game. I just want to define what we play so that when we play, I know what I'm getting into. A lot of players, they don't know 4D as a term. They can barely define roleplay. Like, they say they want to roleplay, but you watch the table and it's 50% out of character talk, including making jokes, asking the game masters questions about the world, making a test drive for their turn to see if they can do a thing. Then the game master says, that will probably have no effect, is what your character would know. Then you say, I see, I will not do that then. I will come up with another plan and do that instead. And you sit at that table and you think to yourself. I think to myself, I'm not enjoying that. I might enjoy some of the table, but I'm not enjoying that part. Can we get rid of that part? And you think, can you? Should you? Would you? Is it possible? You come up with possibilities. And then you see if you can make the possibility a reality. Talk, discuss, showcase, make a training session. Alright guys, like, we can keep playing like we're playing. I'm just asking you, are you willing to, can I have one of you guys, like each separately, make a training session and we try to achieve that? And you pick the players that are interested. You know, we don't choose players to roleplay against their will. We pick the players that are interested. And to make them interested, we have to show them why it's fun. Why it's preferable. We can make arguments why they should give it a try. But also, we can just showcase, put it on YouTube. Hey, this is me doing it. You can look at this and see what you think. And that's like, you can do it on your own time. When you're in the mindset to give this video a look, you can do that. I'm not forcing you to watch right now. And also, I'm open to show up and ask if you want to make a training session. I'm willing to do a training session. Low commitment, low barrier of entry. All I need is you present with me for some time. Which, for a lot of people, that's hard to do. But then you stop and think. What do you spend time on? And can I spend this time better? And that's when you decide to stop playing like this one video game every night. Put it down and work on your drawing instead. Or practice your Japanese. Or doing some Mindscaping practice. Or, you know, open up the math book to get ready for the exam. That's all there is to it. Same philosophy, different hobbies, different ways to use it. I'm just deploying it with a Mindscape. The music is getting a bit loud, but I think it's good for me. So with that, I think I will call the stream to a head. And I hope you guys have a good night. If you have any questions, show up on Discord. You know, I'll be there for a bit. And if not, I will be there tomorrow. I hope you had a good time. Sleep well. Enjoy your evenings. Good night, folks.